Okay, let's go. The GPU on my baby ThinkPad couldn't handle the screen recording, so we're going to start off on problem 1 and 2 now. I double clicked on this layout of the exercise, so it changed it to Markdown, which is fine. We can still use it. Let's see what it wants us to do. Print the letters that begin with R, each state that begins with T, print each state that begins with the letter R, T, V, W, every third state. We're using only list indexing and slicing here, so we're not going to do anything fancy with iterating through the list with loops or conditionals or anything like that. We can go ahead and get started. The first thing I'm seeing here is in this code block, we don't actually have a variable created, so let's create that variable by pasting in what they gave us. And I'm missing my closing bracket because I forgot to copy it. Now I've got a completed list with brackets containing a bunch of strings. Let's go to the first one, print each state that begins with the letter R. Looks like just the first position, Rhode Island, begins with the letter R, so we'll print out states, and then accessing the index with brackets, not to be confused with creating a list, but in this situation after a variable. Directly after a variable with no spaces, if we add a position 0 here, we're going to print out Rhode Island, and running Shift Enter, we get Rhode Island. Shift Enter is the same as press and play up here, as a quick note. Print each state that begins with the letter T, 0, 1, 2, 3, Tennessee, 4, Texas. Print states, not that buddy, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, we need 3 and 4, and slicing, if we're specifying the last item to slice, it grabs the item in the position before the one you specify, so I'll save that. Might be confusing about it, but 0, 1, 2, 3, we need 3 and 4, it's going to stop right before Utah, which is the 5th position. Run that, grab Tennessee and Texas. You might notice down here, this is outputting as a string, this is outputting as a list. Indexing for one position gives you a string if you have string data type in here. Grabbing a slice outputs a list, and we can test that here by doing type. And I'm using a built-in type method, which is going to tell me the data type of a variable. In this case, I'm feeding in state 0, and type feeding in the slice. And we're feeding it in as an argument into the parentheses here, just for some correct verbiage or vocabulary. String and list, look at that, wow. All right, wow. That red parentheses meant it was hanging out and was gonna throw an error if we didn't fix it. And what I mean is, if you had an extra parentheses here, there's an opening one, but 2 closing ones. We need symmetry. We need 1 and 1 on the front and the back. All right. Print each state that begins with the letter V. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we need the 6 and 7 items, but we need to end the slice at the 8th position. So let's try 6, 2. We want 7, so we end at 8. And print that sucker. We want all with the letter W, and what's nice is they are the last 4. Let's try something a little fancier. Print everything from the last 4 back to the end of the list. So starting at the 4th from the last, going to the back of the list. Print every 3rd state. Let's just keep moving. States, brackets, every 3rd state. So we want to grab everything and jump 3 every time. So starting from the beginning all the way to the end, jumping 3 every time. Done. So that is the problem 1, printing out a bunch of stuff just using slicing and index access of lists. As a reminder, you can also access via index like this string characters. So you could go into Rhode Island, for instance, and just access the letter R. Let's just use an example real quick. State equals Rhode Island. Print state, because that's the variable we assign the string Rhode Island to, 0. Bam! Prints out as a little string right there. Look at that. All right, let's keep moving. We are on problem 2. Retrieve user input for 5 or more values separated by spaces. All right, so when we ask for user input, it's going to be a pain to test it because we'll have to input values every time. So I'm going to create a fake user input first with 5 words. Very creative. Dog. 5 or more words. So let's do 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, that's a string with spaces. That's what's going to be given to us once we get the user input. We'll create the user input after we're done with the other ones here. Split the values and keep it as a list. Input list. And we want to use the split method to split a set of strings. So we're going to use the user input variable to reference our string. We're going to use the .split method. We don't need to put anything in here yet because as a default, putting in nothing separates things by spaces. It would be the same as if we wrote this. Let's test that out. Print input list. And shift enter to run. And wow, we have a list already. All right. So we completed this. We keep it as a list by assigning it to a new variable list. Double clicking changes the markdown format. Print the second and third values. Let's just do it literally. It wants the second and third values. So we want to print out input list. We're going to slice, because we're in a slicing exercise. We want the second and third values, so 0, 1, 2. I think that they are referring to the second value if we're counting as we're a normal person, not a program. So 1, 2, which is confusing. But the second value is technically the first position, and we want to end at position 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, which in normal counting is the 4th spot. We're grabbing the third value. So second value being the 1 position, third value, 0, 1, 2, 3, but we want the third one in normal counting, 1, 2, 3. So we're grabbing the third value, but in a slice, we need to indicate the position after the one we want to grab. So 0, 1, 2, 3. And it grabs everything before this. So we're slicing from here up to here. Oh, buddy. Word. All right, print the 4th and the 5th values. All right. Print input list. 4th and the 5th value. Third. Okay, 4th and the 5th, and we jump to the, man, they just don't make it clear. But let's print out the full gosh darn thing to just do our visual checks and run the gosh darn code. So first value, second value, third value, 4th value, etc. 0, 1, 2 position. So a little confusing. But we're printing the 4th and the 5th value, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5th. So this one and this one, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So starting at the 3rd position, ending at the one after the last one we want to grab. So 5th position, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it cuts off here. That's where the slice stops. So let's call that a day. Print every second value. this is a review at this point. Look at that. Bam. So we want to do every one of them but the second value. So we have starting at the beginning, finishing all the way at the end, printing the second value, and pressing Shift Enter to run the code. Deleting this because we don't need it in the exercise. We just need to split the values and keep it as a list, which we're doing here. We need to print the second and third values, fourth and fifth values, every second value, bing, bing, bing. And we're going back to the top, retrieve user input for 5 or more values separated by spaces. So let's change this into an input request for the user. And let's just copy it. Let's just make it easy, guys. Come on. We need it to be a string inside the input request and put 5 or more values. Let's just say words separated by spaces. Let's test this sucker out. So we've replaced the data that was within the user input variable with the correct input method as requested. We're asking for input of 5 or more words separated by spaces. Let's run the code. This is maybe 5 words I can't count. More than 5 words. Print. Third and fourth, sliced. Every other one starting from beginning going to end. You know what's interesting is how they're formatting this. That's why you just use double quotes as a default. And then you don't have some confusing like single quotes up to this part where it's double quotes. If if the middle one was also double quote, it would throw an error because it would think the string's ending here, and then it would be like, dude, you have this T hanging out with no starting string quote. Goofballs. Best practices, guys. PEP 8 and Hitchhiker's Guide to Python. Look them up. All right, we're going to stop there for this one. Hopefully that helped the student that requested it. And if I said anything wrong, feel free to correct me. Otherwise, I hope you learned something. Bye.